Recording in progress. I love when she talks to me like that. How you doing?
I'm good.
I'm
How are
doing good.
you?
I'm doing pretty good. Everybody, this is Coach Bronson, and today we have Judith from Keto for the Soul, as you can see in her background there. Um, Keto for the Soul, you do coaching, you do a bunch of different things. But the biggest thing about Keto for the Soul, we can talk about this a bit later in case anybody's never heard of Clubhouse. It is a fairly new, I don't know how long it's been around, a fairly new social media app that she started the first keto group on. And now you have what, 12,000 plus members in that group?
Yes. I think we're at like 12.4 thousand
Nice.
people in
That's
this
awesome.
community.
And I feel like every time I'm in a room or in a session, I see new people popping in all the time. So that's awesome. So you've been doing keto for a while. So I want to basically, what I'm trying to do in a lot of these interviews is just share people's stories. You're an influencer, you're on social media, you're trying to get information out to people and help people move in their process and get through the struggles and challenges and all of those types of things. But I think it's really important to share the story of what people are going through and what people have been through, because we've all got different places that we started. We've all got different places that we're going. And the more stories that we can get out there of people that are going through the process or that are on their journey and having success in that journey, right, then the better it is. So tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of like where you were, what started this whole desire, and then how did you find keto? Like, just tell us about your background.
Okay, so I have been living this lifestyle for 2 years now. I started my journey August 2019, August 18th, 2019.
Okay.
And I grew up, I'll just tell you, I'll give you a little history. So
Yeah.
I grew up in the Quad Cities up in Iowa. And so I came down to Tennessee probably about 8 years ago now. And originally I had came here just to finish school, and then I was going back up to Iowa. Well, in the meantime, I met my now husband. We now have a 6-year-old little girl. And so life kind of shifted a little bit for me.
Yeah.
And so when I first moved down here, I did not really know a lot of people. And so I struggled with a lot of things that my friends, I have really great friends, but a lot of them were in Iowa. And so they didn't know the day-to-day struggle that I was kind of going on with myself mentally. And so I got pregnant with my daughter I think I had her when I was 26. And from that point on, so I'm now 30, I'll be 33 at the end of this month. I struggled hardcore with, I just constantly, everything I ate, I was like gaining weight. My hormones were out of whack. I am a thyroid cancer survivor. I had thyroid cancer when I was a junior in high school. So I've always looked at life a little bit differently than the everyday person because of some of the things I've been through. But I was struggling alone by myself. And so I developed postpartum depression. And so I remember going to my OBGYN, and I was like, hey, I am not feeling right. I'm like this happy, cheery person, but something's off. And she was like,
Yeah.
well, it's only been a few weeks since you've had your daughter. Let's just see what happens. But I've got a few samples of some things if you want to just try this medicine, right? And so she just kind of brushed it off. And I'll tell you, I never went back to her. For one, because I just felt like she didn't take me serious when I came to her with a concern. And
Right.
so I'd always heard the term of, asking the questions and firing your doctor. So she had to go, right? And so there's a good and a bad thing with that. The good thing is that I wanted to be an advocate for myself, but the bad thing is I didn't know how to do it. And so years passed now at this point, and I was just finding short-term things to satisfy me, to just give me that extra boost of like happiness. And so even though I had a beautiful little girl, and I have at the time he was my boyfriend, I had a great boyfriend, and we were just going through life, had a good job, all these things, it was just like something was still always off. And so with that, just the weight gain, it just kept coming on and on and on. And so in August, well, let me back up. So before August even happened, and I even
Mhm.
thought about starting, a coworker of mine, him and his wife were living this lifestyle. And so he pretty much was like, hey, let's see if you might like this. And they were kind of just telling me about it. And at the time,
Just,
I wasn't ready. And that's what I'll just put that. I wasn't ready yet.
okay. I was going to ask you that, like, were you ready to hear it at the time? Like, how did that conversation even start? Because there's a lot of times where we know people and we see stuff happening, but we're not ready, because it happens in our lives. We know we're seeing progress, and there's people in our lives that are like, we try to go talk to them and they just don't want to hear anything about it. So you were at that point where, nope, this is,
Nope, I was
yeah,
not ready. I I probably gained like 60 pounds more before I finally decided starting. So I wasn't ready. And so, but I will say the good thing about him sharing, which is one thing why I love to share about this, is that even though I wasn't ready, there was still something in the back of my mind telling me, well, maybe I should just do a little bit more research, or maybe this keto thing could maybe work, or maybe, so um, fast forward a little bit, I went to my yearly checkup with my doctor,
Mhm.
and I even mentioned it to her. I told her, I was like, look, I am depressed. I had developed anxiety, which is something that I had never had until giving birth. That's what I'm relating all this to, just the crazy chemical stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's a thing.
yeah, yeah. And so I was like, I think I'm gonna try this thing called keto. I've been doing a lot of research on it, and I think I'm just gonna do it. And she's like, oh, no, 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 no. You don't have a thyroid, and that's not good for you, and all that fat and blah blah blah. So that pushed it off even further. So say there were 6 months in between there doing research, and then she said that. So then it took it to that next 6 months where I was like, I was taking this antidepressant that she was giving me.
Right.
By this time, I had ended up in the emergency room
Ooh.
because I had an anxiety attack. And I thought I was having a heart attack. I'll be
Mhm.
honest. I thought for sure. But even though I was taking this little pill, and she said this pill was supposed to be working,
Right.
all these things were developing. And it was like, ever since I've taken those pills, I feel like that has heightened it to a whole nother level my anxiety
Wow.
can get to. So now I've seen where the way I was before, even thinking about medicine, and then taking the medicine, and then that taking my anxiety to the next level that I didn't even know was even possible.
Mhm.
So we got off of that because we decided that I decided I am not taking this anymore. And
Right.
so again, went another 6 months doing research. That's what brings me to August 18th, 2019. I invited a girlfriend over for drinks that night because, again, I was just searching for something to satisfy me and to make me happy. And it was like, it explained of like, my mom was like, you have all these things in your life and everything seems so good. She's like, well, what's wrong with you? What is going on? And I'm like, I don't know. I can't figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't put my finger on it. And so my girlfriend came over and she brought like a big old jug of alcohol, right? And she was like, we're gonna drink tonight, and we're gonna have a girls' night, and we're gonna talk, and we're just
Smashed.
gonna have, we're just gonna have so much fun, right? And before she came, my anxiety was kind of messing with me, and I was having some gut issues. So my doctor said I had irritable bowel syndrome. And so I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't drink, because if I drink, it could just heighten my anxiety and then my gut issues and just crazy stuff going on. So I told her, I was like, look, I'm glad you're here and I want to have girls' night, but I'm not going to be drinking with you. So I apologize for you bringing that big old jug, but and that's for you at this point. And so I told her, I was like, I'm going to start keto this weekend. And she was like, what's that? And so kind of just went in. So what I grasped out of it in the beginning was that it was no carbs, no sugar, blah, blah, blah. It just seemed very limited until now, living this lifestyle, learning a little bit more. But I was like, I don't know. I don't want no more sugar. I don't want any more of this. I'm through with it. And I was to that point. And so I think sometimes a lot of us, we have to get to that point where we're like, okay, I'm tired of feeling like, I'm tired of feeling like I'm tired of it. And so at this point, I was like, I don't know what this doctor is talking about, but that medicine didn't work. And I can't feel any worse than I already do. So why not just give it a shot and then we'll see what happens. Right. So I remember, just getting on YouTube and doing my research, and that, like, just like you having these, this channel. So I think it's very important that you share, because someone like me in the very beginning, I relied a lot on different YouTube videos, and I would literally put my headphones in at work and I would just put it on replay and listen over and over. And so that weekend I went to the grocery store. I had found some channels that I can really resonate and connect with.
Yeah.
And I literally day one started, and I started intermittent fasting day one. I didn't have anyone to tell me.
How many videos did you watch at first? Good grief.
Day one, I did an 18-hour fast and no sugar, no carbs. And so when they talk about the keto flu, don't do that day one, or you will experience.
Truck. Wow.
I thought I was dying.
That's almost
the first week.
So many people would quit after the first day or two of that.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up playing sports and being very active. I'm very competitive. I love a good challenge. So that is another reason why I couldn't grasp why nothing was working, because it was like I would start a new challenge, I'd start this, and I'm like, why am I not losing any weight? I'm eating Subway every day for lunch. I'm eating these low fat chips every day, and they're baked. So why am I not losing this weight? And I'm going to the gym. So all of those together equal weight loss, right? Like, what in the world? So yeah, I knew the first week from watching all my videos that the first week was going to be hard. I did make it extremely hard, and I did not fast the rest of the week. Day one was a learning experience, and I felt like I didn't know, because my anxiety, it was like starting to trigger my anxiety, and so I'm like, am I dying or am I not dying?
Right. So I assume that now when you work with people, you don't recommend that they start off intermittent fasting.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely not.
Well, that's a good thing to point out, though, because I see it all the time. I see people very frequently in the beginning of their journey, right? They're doing the same thing. They go to the YouTubes, they see all these different things, and they're trying intermittent fasting. They're trying fasted workouts. They're trying all of these different, slamming down bulletproof coffees like there's no tomorrow, all of these different things, because all these things are supposedly hacks to make keto better, right? When that
yeah, right? Just throw it out the window. You don't need that. You don't need those. Those are extra tools you can bring in along the way, but you do not need it.
Absolutely. So okay, good, get that out the way. So you decided to run in front of a bus, and then you kind of got through it. And then what happened from there?
So I'll tell you, the Sunday I was preparing to start, I said to who's my husband now, I was like, hey, we're going to do keto. Like, all of us, we're all going to do keto. And he was like, no, we're not. You can do keto. Worked for you. Like, are you even going to be able to stick to this? And a lot of people would take that as he was very harsh on me, but we are just like that support, that sometimes we just need to be that like tough person, tough love. And so with him saying, are you even going to stick to it? That might have actually got me through week 1 too. I'll be honest. So that might have worked too. Now that I'm saying this out loud, but he was like, no, let's just see if you can even do this. And so within 10 days, I'm telling you, he started noticing how good I was feeling. Like the energy after like day 5 was like just like up here. And I'm
Wow.
like, holy crap, like, what is this? And I just felt so, I don't know. They always say like the mental clarity and the brain fog and all that starts
Yeah.
lifting. And I felt all of that happening. And I just kept watching more YouTube videos and more YouTube videos. And I'm like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? Well, well, next, you know, the weight started coming off. And so that for me alone, like the first month, I dropped a significant amount of weight. And it was because I was like hardcore determined, right? And so not everybody is like that in the beginning, which I totally get. But for me, I was like, it almost just kept encouraging me to go further. So
Right.
I always tell people like, give keto a month, give this lifestyle of whole nourishing foods, staying away from processed sugars, processed carbs, do it for 1 month. And I guarantee you, you'll be hooked. And that's exactly what happened. I was so hooked. And so I just kept within, let's see. Okay. So back to August 18th, I did not allow myself to have a quote unquote cheat day, treat day, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
until March 23rd of 2020.
Okay.
And the reason I didn't allow that was there was a couple of reasons. So one was because I know in the past, as soon as I allow myself to cheat or treat, I go off the wagon, right? And this is something that I had mentally told myself over and over. If you go off, if you go off once, you're done for. So that kind of kept me going and staying like really, really focused. So even that Christmas, that Thanksgiving, I was focused. Nobody could tell me to try anything or eat anything. I was like, I'm at this point, I had lost like 40 pounds. I'm like, y'all can't tell me to eat this piece of bread because I don't want it because that bread made me feel like crap. And now I
Mhm.
feel so amazing that I'm going to keep going. And so we had our engagement pictures that day. And that was another thing. I was like, okay, for my engagement pictures, I want to look the best. So I got to get down to a certain number on the scale. And back then, it was all about a number on a scale. It wasn't more internal. It wasn't a mental thing. It wasn't anything. It was strictly a number on the scale. And
Yep.
so I'm sure you made me just look at the scale totally different a couple like last week. I've been blown away since, just hearing you speak about, and starting your program and I was like, do you need my weigh-in number? Like, what do you need? And you're like, no, for what? And I'm like,
Yep.
because all coaches need people's weigh-in
Right. You
numbers,
need
right?
before and after pictures and a weigh-in
Right.
and stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, no, I mean, unless you want to. And so I was like so confused. And you're like, the number on the scale does not tell me your quality of life. And I was like, like mind blown. I
Yeah, I can't
meditate
I
now.
can't
This will be
wait till
forever.
I can't wait till we as coaches and people that are out there trying to educate people on health and fitness till we stop talking about weight. I have a post I'm scheduling for tomorrow that's going to be on this topic. So I'm glad we're talking about it. Well, tomorrow for when we're recording this, not from when this video comes out, but um, yeah, right. Cause that's going to totally mess up people's brains. Like, what do you mean? Um, but the idea that weight is the focus is where society is putting us. That's where
He
society's
told
got.
me tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really, like I said, your quality of life is what matters. The scale doesn't tell you that. The scale doesn't know how much work your body can do. The scale doesn't know how healthy you are. The scale doesn't know your mentality around food. The scale doesn't know how good your relationships are with people. The scale doesn't know any of that stuff. So we need to stop worrying about weight in general, I think.
I agree. I definitely agree. And now that I'm 2 years in, I can tell you that I have learned that. But I am that person who has been like, I always say I'm like a data person. So my husband and we weigh ourselves every single day. And we have a calendar. And I can go back to what I weighed last January. And it's just the thing that I can look at to say, look, remember where you were a year ago, right? But I I feel like I just stirred something. But since you said that to me, since you have said that to me last week, I keep forgetting to weigh myself. That number is not important. That getting on that scale every day hasn't been important. And I'm like, what did Bronson do to my brain? I love it. No.
So what you should do, so get yourself, get an in-body scan or get some kind of at-home body composition weight scale. And
Yeah.
feel free to do it every day, because if you like data and it's just something you're used to doing, what would really be cool to see is how your body fat percentage, your lean mass percentage, and your skeletal muscle mass numbers, how those numbers change day to day, and then what the trend of those are. So normally I tell people to get a body scan like once a month, between once a month or once every 3 months, and somewhere in there. But if you guys like the data and you want to see that, because what I think it would really be cool for people to see is, just like weight, these things fluctuate, but the trend is what we're looking for. So I
Right.
think that's really cool. Yeah, if you don't have one, I would highly recommend getting a body composition scanner, because then when you're getting on there, you're getting more data than just your weight. You're actually getting to see specific results of what you're doing and how it's affecting your lean mass and your muscle mass, which, unlike weight, lean mass and muscle mass does provide a window into your quality of life. Right? The amount of muscle you have on your body is the longevity, the reduction of risk of injury, your ability to do things, how strong you are. All of those things are directly related to your lean mass and muscle mass. So if you can track that information over weight, I would totally be fine with you doing that more regularly.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot more sense too. And the gym, one of the thousands of programs I participated in before finding this lifestyle. And now I know I wasn't eating the right foods to even get the numbers that I was looking for. I wasn't even doing what I thought I was doing. I thought I was just living this like overall healthy life, and come to find out. So it would be very interesting now that I feel like I'm actually on a really good track to actually get on that type of scale. So you're right. That's a good idea.
Yeah. And even if you don't buy one yourself, find a spot locally that has one that you can on a regular basis kind of go check it out. Okay, I got a couple questions for you. So tell me about the thyroid cancer and how going keto, like, have you had to do things differently than other people? Is it basically you just do it the same outside of some medication you have to replace your thyroid hormone? Like, well, how's that all affected you?
So I will say that, so I had thyroid cancer in 2006. So from 2006 until current, I've taken a thyroid replacement, which is basically just a pill that you take every single day to replenish your body of these hormones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I wouldn't say that I've had to do anything different. In fact, there's different tools that I've added to my toolbox that have helped me a little bit more. So I still do 20 net carbs. I still, follow A, B, and C, just like anybody else on this lifestyle. But what I've done to help myself is I've incorporated intermittent fasting. And so I do 2 meals a day. I did find for me and my body, one meal a day. I don't want to say I was at a plateau, but I was like literally stuck. And so I realized I wasn't eating enough. And so I incorporated that second meal in there. And that has really been able to just kind of push me to the next level. My TSH, my thyroid levels are amazing. I've had to decrease my medicine a couple times because I had such a high dosage from, just being larger. I was 329 pounds when I came to this lifestyle. So I was taking anywhere from 250 micrograms to 300 a day. And that's a lot. That's a lot. And so immediately when I first dropped the first 50, I didn't even let my doctor tell me. I said, decrease my thyroid medicine. Like, come on, let's go. Because I already know I've been dealing with this for so long now. At this point, I've become an expert for my own self. And I'm
Right,
like, all
right.
right, we got to get this number down because I don't want this. I don't want all this medicine in my system. Right. And so, other than that, I've pretty much done the same thing. Like I said, I think intermittent fasting has really stepped my game up in my
Mhm.
weight loss journey and just feeling good. It's sometimes it's not even about the weight loss. It's about how you feel. So I feel my best when I eat 2 meals a day. Um, yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna add something. I'm trying to think what I was gonna say, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like that. And it's cool to hear. So you're young, you're in your early 30s. You just don't have a thyroid. So my mom is 67, she's hypothyroid, she's on medication, but she's been able to drop her medications greatly as well. Similarly, she's carnivore, so she's been carnivore for almost 3 years. And she's seen much of the same kind of results. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's all right. So you've mentioned a couple times earlier about just looking for something to make you happy. How did food make you happy? Did you get that? Am I
Before or
freezing? Am I
now?
freezing on your end? Am I freezing on your end because you're
Oops.
freezing on mine? My internet
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
like it's
you're free.
wacky. I was going to say, you mentioned earlier about happiness. How did food make you happy?
Okay. So before, I will say that I was an emotional eater. So anything that happened, good or bad, in my life, I turned to food. And so whether that was you get a promotion at work, or you are upset because you got in an argument with your spouse, or your kids stressing you out, or a birthday, I
Okay.
celebrated, food was like the center point of everything in my entire life. And so for me, being able to learn that about myself and acknowledge that and say, hey, my name's Judy and I'm addicted to carbs. I'm addicted to sugar. I know this now about myself. So it has allowed me to be able to kind of take a step back and identify different triggers that I have, or why I was eating all that, or, just it didn't even make sense now. Now that I
Right.
look back, it's like, why did I think chocolate was going to solve all my world problems, right? Or why did I think that eating this cheeseburger was going to make me just satisfy me in a way that just whatever, you can't even
Right.
explain it, right? And so now that I've identified my relationship with food, it has made my life a lot easier, to where I don't even question what I do. I don't question what I eat. I would question myself more if I'd wanted to go off track and eat a piece of cake. Like, okay, what's going on here? Why do we need this cake? What did this cake do for us? Nothing. It didn't do anything for us. But
Right.
and it's just amazing when you can kind of switch that perspective on food and why you're eating. So now, even just with our 6-year-old, like, we are training our bodies to, the food that we eat is now fuel to our body. It's not to comfort us, it's to make
Mhm.
us stronger or better, or, whatever that best version of yourself you're looking to create. So I think, that's kind of how, it's kind of flip flopped a lot for me. And
How do you,
oh,
how do you, sorry, how do you take that emotional connection and what do you do with it? If you're taking it off of food, when you feel stressed, you used to eat a burger. So now what do you do when you feel stressed? Do they get locked up again? You
you
gotta
know
love the
what?
internet.
And
You
I've
gotta
learned
love
it's
the internet.
into community. Oh, I'm
You're
not
back.
freezing. Are you freezing?
I love when things like this happen. It's a Saturday afternoon. You think the internet would be good. What I was going to say is you used to eat a burger when you were stressed, right? Am I
Yeah.
back? Right. You used to eat a burger when you were
Yeah.
stressed. So
You're,
now when you're stressed, what do you do?
this is where having a community or having support or just something to turn to comes
Mhm.
into play. So for me, if I'm having a bad day, I am able to, for one, say, hey, self, this is a bad day, right? We can acknowledge that. And there's a few different things. So one thing that I always recommend to like the Keto for the Soul community is, now this isn't, not everybody has this option, but it is an option out there. Is I always say, hey, if you're having a bad day, let it be known. Let it be known what your struggle is. Let it be known why you're struggling. And maybe if you can't identify it, when you can just get it out and just put it out of your body, out of your brain, into the universe, then maybe somebody out there can help you work through it. And so not all of us have a person in our everyday life that we can talk to. We don't have a psychologist on standby or a
Right.
spouse or a family member. So that's kind of where the community aspect comes into play. For me, I'm getting on, and I encourage everybody to do this. Get on Keto for the Soul, start a room, and say help. And so I've had a time when I was at work one day and I was very, very stressed out. And it's just like everything was going against the grain and it was just horrible. And I had this like a keto treat in my desk. It was like a bar. And I had already had one for the day. So I knew that I didn't need that second one. I knew that it was just an emotional response. My brain was telling me because it was in my desk, it was way too close. I needed to go move it. But not only that, but I was just, kind of panicking because I'm like, oh, I know I shouldn't do this. And I'm working through this. And Judy, you're better than this, but it's not always that easy. So went into Clubhouse and said, help. And when I tell you, it pings every single person in your community. And it literally, like, so many people came to the rescue and they're like, hey, what's going on? And just the fact that I could say, look, I've got this keto treat in my desk, but I've already had one today. I've already hit my macros for the day, and I can't afford to eat this today because I know it could possibly kick me out of ketosis, or it'll just be over, my daily whatever.
Yeah.
And so we literally sat in this room for a while and we just talked through it. And I think that's something that has been so, so, so helpful on my journey, is just the fact that now I feel like I'm not doing this alone, because, before Clubhouse, it was just me out here, me and my
Right.
husband. We eventually jumped on board. So it was him and we're just shooting stuff back and forth. And my friends that my coworker that I had started with were just shooting ideas back and forth, but sometimes that's not enough. So it's, for me, kind of just talking about it and working through it. That really saved the day. And
Yeah.
then the next day, I was able to eat that keto bar or whatever it was because it fit in my macros. And I felt so good that I didn't actually, like, I don't know, break, I guess,
Sure.
but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the emotional support to realize it's okay to deal with problems and not use food to deal with them. Like, um, tell us more about Clubhouse, what it is, first off, because it's fairly new. I think a lot of people still haven't even heard of it. And I think as more people hear about it, they're gonna be like, oh my God, this sounds amazing. And it's gonna just keep growing. So tell us about it, and then tell us about Keto for the Soul, what that's all about and how that works. Like what happens in there.
Yes. So Clubhouse is an audio app. So you can go in your app store, whether you've got an Android or iPhone now, it's open to the public. In the beginning, it was only invite only. So not a lot of people were on there unless you knew somebody who told you about it. You didn't really, know much about it. So now
Yeah,
it's
I
open to
I
the
tried
public.
it like almost like, I don't know, 8 months ago, and I got on there, started some rooms, nobody ever showed up. I was like, what? I don't understand. How is this such a big deal, And
Yeah.
then I just kind of gave it away. And then when we met a couple of weeks ago, you're like, get on Clubhouse, there's 12,000 people. I'm like, what happened? And like, and I had gotten an iPad specifically for that, and then another app that I was using that were Apple only because I'm a Droid guy. And I'm like, okay, let me get my iPad. And you're like, you don't need your iPad. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
it's come
advancing.
a
So
long way.
it's almost like a live podcast that you can join in the conversation. That's what's so cool about it. Like, it would be as if you and I were talking on Clubhouse on a stage, and then all of a sudden we had a friend or somebody pop up and say, hey, I want to add to that conversation. So I think it's really cool. So it's basically an audio app that you can join in to live conversations. Yeah, it did start off as iPhone and invite only. I'm team iPhone. I just gotta say, so I know. I gotta throw that out there. But I got on the app in December 2020. And it's funny because I was actually listening to one of my friends went live on Facebook, and she's really big into real estate and different things. And I was listening to her speak, and she was like, yo, I got this inside scoop. Like, there's this app called Clubhouse, and they're giving away all the business gems. Like, you're going to go on Clubhouse and you're going to have CEOs telling you how to get rich. And they're going to tell you exactly how they did it. Or you're going to have, it was just a lot of business stuff. Right. And so the first day I got on there, one of the first rooms I even was in my hallway, because they call it a hallway. You can literally scroll and find rooms. And it was a domestic violence room. And I was like, huh. So me being who I am, I jumped up on stage, didn't know what I was doing. I didn't understand the clapping where you flash your mic aspect. I'm like, are they having glitches? Like, I just knew that there was a glitch or something going on. I wasn't getting it. But at this point, Clubhouse, I think, came around in like May of 2020. So it had been around for a while. And these people have built relationships. So here I am or whatever, and how to even have a conversation. But that room happened, and I was in that room for like, I'm going to say like 5 hours. And that room gave me life. And it brought a whole new aspect of Clubhouse. It was like, wait a second. It's not just business. Like, these are real people that have been through a lot of tough situations. And I could relate to these people. And I'm like, I wonder if there's more people on there that I can relate to. So of course, me being me, I'm like, well, what am I doing in my life that, I could relate to others? And it's keto. So I was like, I wonder if there's keto people on here. So you could go in the search bar and you could type clubs in. And I typed the word keto and nothing came up. And I'm like, now I know that there's so many keto communities on Facebook and Instagram and things. I'm like, surely there's got to be a keto community, but I couldn't find anyone. So I was like, you know what? These people started their own clubs. Like, I could just see if I could start a club,
Yeah.
And it's funny because Keto for the Soul came about one day when I was trying to think of keto on a deeper level, because keto meant so much more than a surface level thing. And so I'm thinking of like, wow, what is a word that's like deep and could touch deep, deep, deep? And for me, one of the books that I always grew up with was Chicken for the Soul, or Chicken Soup for the Soul.
For the Soul. Yep.
Yeah. And those books were amazing, and they always gave me so much life. So I was like, ooh, what about Keto for the Soul? Right. And so it started off as just like an Instagram page, and then it was a Facebook group. And then now when they're like, what do you want to name your club? I'm like, I got to come up with a name. Like, I can't just put Keto Club. Like, so I was like, all right, this is perfect. Keto for the Soul. Like, I want to meet all my fellow ketoers that are living this life and are just living it and thriving and whatever. And so it got approved. And so Keto for the Soul came about January 2021. And awesome. I heard that they didn't announce when your club actually got approved. You just would notice it one day at the bottom of your screen. And I was like, now what? Like, now what do I do? And so I just started a room, and exactly what you did. You went on there and I started a room under Keto for the Soul. And I'm telling you, the very first night, Autumn popped in there, Erica popped in there, like
Are you
so many of
serious?
my amazing friends now popped in there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And we're in there like, we don't know how this app works, but we're on this keto thing. And like, we were all like on page one. So it was so nice to like meet people. And she was like, I'm, watch Autumn Keto. And I'm like, what did I just do? Like, I am in a conversation with Autumn, like, and then Erica, beautiful girl on keto. I'm like, how am I meeting these people? And just so many people started coming in. And so it's been amazing. And we started doing what I kind of started doing. I don't even know what day of the week it was that even happened, but it was like during the day or during the week I met. And we did it as like a check-in. And so that's where check-ins were created. It was like people depended on these keto check-ins to either help them work through situations, or maybe they just needed to talk about how their day was going, or maybe they've never even lived this lifestyle. We had people popping in that were like, what is this thing even called? Or what does this thing even do? And is this even possible? And then we had doctors start coming in, and doctors coming in do kind of, just validate everything. And it's kind of just helped it take off. And so, we've had a lot of people in the community who have just showed up for the next person. And that's where it's life-changing.
Yeah, I think it's amazing when I pop in the rooms. Number one, I feel like I get notifications all day long that there's a room happening every day. I'm like, goodness gracious, another room already? Geez, didn't we just have one an hour ago? But it's cool because there's something for everybody. There's something at any time. And again, even if there isn't anything that's scheduled, if you need help, you can just create a room and somebody's going to respond. There's enough people in there to have that response and support. I like it because as a coach, and I see this, I try to see things from a lot of different perspectives. And somebody on the outside looking in may say, well, if it's such a simple diet, then why do people need so much support? Because there's a lot of people out there that have been ingrained. They've lived a life that's been dependent on, and there's a lot of mental things that go into food. There's so many different layers and levels to the dependency that's been created in us when it comes to food, that it's hard. It's not as easy as just start eating this and everything's solved. I wish it were that easy, but we know it's a process. It's a long process. And there may be people who need that daily support to just not have a Coke every day. And that's, they literally need, I need someone to remind me every day that I shouldn't have this Coke, right? And there's other people who are on the spectrum of me who I'm pretty good, and it's rare that I have that because I've been doing this for over 4 years almost now. And I've gotten to a point where I'm fairly healthy and I have my lifestyle as part of how my brain works now. But there's this whole spectrum, and having people that are all along that whole spectrum that anybody can have access to for support is critical. It's absolutely critical to help people maintain their success as they grow. I think it's fantastic. But
it has been, and I like to say this all the time because it hasn't only changed my life, it's changed so many other people's lives. And that is the bigger picture to all of this, was more than I ever realized. And so, I am that person where they're like, keto for the soul is home. And it is home. It is home. It's something that I've even had to learn. There were times, earlier this year, we planned our wedding. Like, we got married in June, and I had a whole wedding in my brain that had been pushed off from 2020. And so moving that with keto for the soul and everything, there was a time where I stopped doing check-ins because I was overwhelmed. And I had so many people reach out to me like, we need check-in. We miss this. We need this. We look for this every single night. And so that even brought it more to my attention on how it's not just for me or for the everyday. It's literally for every single person. So I think this community is bigger than all of us, and I'm just excited to see where it goes. You'll notice I've started popping in different places, just I want everybody in this community to be known. Like, it's not just me. Like, I want everybody to be known for what they bring to the table, because there's a lot of amazing people.
Can you give a rundown real quick? Because I really like this conversation, because I really want more people to get on Clubhouse and get access to this, because I think it's the most accessible. It's the most non-invasive, and the most I'm not going to say non-distracting, but non-negative. I'll say that for sure, than any other social media, right? If you have any other social media that you go to, you basically go to this page of nonsensical combination of some fake motivation, fake fitness, fake nutrition, fake news, negative news, arguments, and like there's all this stuff that's just blasted in your face as you scroll and scroll and scroll, and it never goes away. Clubhouse is a completely different animal, because it's conversation. You're using your brain. It's not just it's not just information being thrown at you. You are a part of the conversation. And I've not heard a negative comment, a negative thought at all. And if someone says something negative, it's usually about themselves or something that they did. And then everybody's like, stop it. None of that here. We don't do that. I love it. So can you give us a little bit, talk us through what some of what's the schedule look like? Like, what are some of the rooms? Because the rooms they're pre-scheduled, but it's not like there's a set schedule that anyone can look anywhere. But what are some of the things that happen on a weekly basis in Keto for the Soul?
So there's a lot. And a lot of there's a lot. So there's a lot of, right now we're transitioning out of the summer months. So there was even more before the summer. So now what we have kind of found is there are a lot of pop-up rooms, and I just kind of I describe that as like a topic of the day, whatever anybody feels like talking about, hop on there. Right. Gotcha. And so I know, of course, we've got the Keto Check-In, which is at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Thursday. We've got Ladies Night, which are Friday nights at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
When are we going to have a guys' night?
We're still waiting for the men, for you guys to create your own space. So come on. We've made sure we created our space. Now we just we've got there are so many communities as well that have formed from this. So that's the other cool thing. So we've got Erica, she's got Keto Saved My Life. She hosts a room every morning at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's an hour-long room, and it just has a new topic every single day. And so we all kind of just join in there together and join in the conversation. And the biggest thing about Clubhouse is that people want to help other people. So there might be a conversation going on, and if I'm the expert in that conversation, or if I have something to add, then I can just join in that day and just bring more value to each conversation. Right. So we've got Keto Foodies Unite. They've got a room in the morning as well. That's Autumn and Triple J. They're doing that on Fridays. And so that's just a room, again, they pick the topic, and those are just pop-up rooms or not pop-up rooms, but pop-up topics. Right. Where whatever the mood is that day, wherever everybody's feeling is a good direction to go, that's kind of where it goes. There's Keto University, Tasha and Lillian. They have the education piece that they're putting together. They've got the Keto Lunch and Learns. And so they're, putting together amazing conversation with different people, different experts, doctors, the everyday person, whatever their topic may be. So I guess right now it just seems like Clubhouse is kind of whatever is on your mind or whatever's on your heart. Let's talk about it. So
That's
it
awesome.
doesn't matter which club it's in. It's just kind of about like, we all are in every single club, every single room. You'll see us. You've
Yeah.
probably learned now. You're like, whoa, there's this one. Whoa, what about this? And it's like we just want to support each other and just like be there. I think that's the biggest thing that just Clubhouse and in general. You mentioned I'm going to call them the quote unquote keto police. There's one thing that I did have to do in the very beginning of Keto for the Soul, and I had to set the tone. I had to set the tone for everything going forward. And I made
Right.
it known that we were not accepting any keto police in our community. And I think overall, the keto community on Clubhouse, we've just kind of transitioned that over.
Yeah.
And we live our lives, we each live our lives the way we want to. And so we're not there to judge anyone or talk down to anyone. Like you said, we'll be harder on ourselves than probably the person next to us. But, when tough love is due, it is due sometimes. So it's definitely brought. And Bronson, you've got your room. You're starting your fitness
right.
room, which I'm
We had
super
we
excited
had
about.
it went well last week. So every Sunday at
Good.
12 p.m. Eastern, Jasmine and I are doing a fitness-based room. So it's in Keto for the
Right.
Soul. It's about any random fitness things that we may want to talk about in the week. So yeah, it's gonna be good. I think we're talking, I forget what we're talking about this week. I think we're talking about variety. Why variety is important in training.
Oh, yeah.
Again, that will be done by the time this video is seen by anybody. So don't worry about it.
Yeah. No, the variety of all the rooms, it's very important because we all are on different journeys, right? And so today, I always say this too, today could be day 1 for me, but it could be day 20 for you, and it could be 120 for our neighbor, or maybe it's 750 for the next person. So variety is important because it allows us to all kind of still come together and join in the conversation. So it's not limited to only the experts. It's not limited to only the beginners. It's limited to every person who wants, to just join in. And so, I think the fact that we've created this quote unquote safe space, I think that's very powerful too.
Yeah. There are still people out there who don't know what keto is. Right. So when you think about that, it kind of blows your mind because we're in it every day. It's hard to imagine that, what do you mean? There's still people out there that don't know what this is, right? So it's important to educate from all the levels. So
yeah,
awesome. Do you have anything that you want to add? This has been fantastic. I mean, I've got like 5 or 6 more things. We might have to do another one at some point because we could go on forever, but I want to try to keep these to about an hour. So what do you want to end with? Do you have any thoughts or things you want to end with? And then we'll talk about where people can find you and etc.
That's a good question. Okay, so I just want to end with something that's been on my heart like more recently, and I can say that more recently is sometimes we come up with a plan or a vision, and we have a direction, but we don't necessarily write those goals down. So I just want to encourage everybody on here. I'm becoming huge on this goal setting and actually taking the action of writing them down and then writing that paragraph or that few sentences on how, once you achieve those goals, how it'll make you feel. Because I think that just, we can say we want to get healthy and we can say we want to become the best versions of ourselves, but how are we going to get there? What are we going to do to take those steps? Like, what is the game plan? So to set yourself up for success, write your goals down.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I got.
Yeah, a goal that's not written down is just a dream, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Love it. Fantastic. So where can people find you outside of Keto for the Soul on Clubhouse, which everyone's going to go sign up for now?
Yes. everybody go sign up for it. You're going to meet all my amazing friends, which I'm super excited about. You can find me. We've got, I'm on Facebook. We've got a Facebook Keto for the Soul group. We've got Instagram, Keto for the Soul _ and then you'll be able to find me at all the keto events. That's something new that I've been doing, kind of just traveling a little bit more
Yeah.
now, and just getting Keto for the Soul out there. I think that's important. People need to know who we are, and they will know soon enough.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much,
yeah.
Cindy. Appreciate you being on. I'll see you in Vegas.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Yes, I'll see you in Vegas.